What is up, guys? Episode 1 of the Meta Talk. Been so excited to do this with Herman. We are here now. We have some content, some stuff that we want to go over. But before we even get into this, as we will with every episode, and we have on a new guest, introduce himself. Let's give each other our background. Herman, I'll let you go ahead and start first, brother, with my co-host here.
Hey guys, super excited to be here. So a little bit on the background. Most of you know it from MetaZoo. My friends know me typically from Yu-Gi-Oh! I played that for quite a long time, probably about like 10 years, and did decent playing that. But between that, Pokemon and Magic, we've got a lot of like competitive experience. So we got to touch on everything in TCG world, and also in the poker scene. So a whole lot of structured environments that some people might not be used to, but it's like kind of like coming home with MetaZoo, just seeing how all these events come in and actually getting to play for serious money. It's a lot of fun. And that's how Logan and I actually connected, was through poker, which is now why you get us as a team. Caught back up after that, so a lot of fun. We enjoy playing this game.
And
Logan, back to you.
And Herman, before you turn over, just kind of tell everyone, right now, everyone has a resume when it comes to this. Kind of tell everyone a little bit, because I know they know about you. We call you the GOAT, but why are you the GOAT? Why are you the brain, as we like to call you? But like, tell people a little bit about you. Tell them where you've topped when it comes to Yu-Gi-Oh! And how that's correlated over to MetaZoo and what you've won as well.
Okay, so it started with Yu-Gi-Oh! But what it really hit was the night before that I got my first deep run, which was being a finalist. I threw together a deck, and this was after one of my teammates, Philly, or my friend Philly, he just won his event playing a deck that I spent 3 or 4 months just pounding into him, and which is kind of set the tone to how we play test now. So in order to do well, you have to be ready for the meta. So what happened was it just like a flash of brilliance, everything, whenever you put a deck together. And before this huge event, I put one together, and I ended up not dropping a game for like 10 matches the night before I had the finals run. And it just kind of snowballed from there, because once you win like prize cards and stuff like that, you get a little bit more recognition. And and that was a top 16 environment, which for Yu-Gi-Oh! Was really tough, considering most of those were like 800 to 1,000 people tournaments. And you're talking like that was 10 rounds for day one, and then 16 for day two. But what really propelled me to GOAT status for MetaZoo was once I hit the ground running. Started off at Houston Collecticon, got second, then continued after that. I got Logan into it, and he spent a short amount of time with me the day before. He got first, and then we just kept steamrolling through, and eventually I took down a back-to-back event with the Capture Society and the TTS, the New Year's tournament.
Yeah, he took first place. He owns the NFT first place of the Loveland. So
yeah, which was really hard to do, just because of like you have to be there's always going to be something you don't expect, and that's when Kate came in with that Frost deck before they started playing Spirit in it, before you could basically, and you got to be able to switch it up and know your deck inside and out. And that was the one that I was proud of. That was the second lowest LP I've ever come back from, which was 30 for the before we played in the finals. That was a lot of fun though.
Well, guys, I personally, I've like had Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, and a little bit of Magic experience, but I had my best outcomes of actually topping and doing things more on the regional level. I played at nationals in Yu-Gi-Oh. The closest I ever got top 32 was in my last match, where I couldn't finish it out. I've topped six regionals in Yu-Gi-Oh, and then due to the fact of the individuals in the group and all, just my player base, my friends, and what you will learn in TCGs, you will make so many relationships, so many connections, and that's what it's all about. And that's what brought me back to MetaZoo, is not only my favorite, I guess, cryptid is Quetzalcoatlus, but also the first deck that I won with. I got first. And so kind of give everyone my background. I'm a very, mellow, like I said, I tell everyone, this is who I am. I'm chill, chillax, and I'm from Texas, as you can tell. Anyways, I had to get that point out there. But moral of the story is that, I was based out of Houston, Texas, playing regionals. And what's ironic is I never really got to intervene with people of other places, but I would go play them and knew about them. And what's cool about MetaZoo is that everyone knows everyone in the MetaZoo scene, and it's still growing, and it still can have more growth potential. Okay. I look forward to seeing MetaZoo at 1,000 to 2,000 event, which I know it will be, with especially the support that MetaZoo's bringing into this. But with that, what really got me focused on this is the potential of the friendships I can make and the opportunities that MetaZoo brings as a competitive player or a pro player into this atmosphere. And so, this is why we wanted to bring this and talk about the meta. We want to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly when it comes to TCGs. We will have people on from other segments who played Magic, who've played Yu-Gi-Oh, that are now playing MetaZoo as well. We'll bring MZOs, hopefully bring some LGSs on, talk about it as well, and just how, as a community, can it get better for us? I think the best thing to do as individuals and players is to be able to voice your opinion and be able to help this game grow. I know Michael is always listening. He's always telling me he's a glutton for his own punishment by listening to everyone. But you know what? That means that he is on the ground, boots on the ground, and learning and growing from this. And so, when we bring out this and we roll this out, guys, I want to introduce you to these segments. I want to introduce you to individuals, and I just want to bring the community as a whole and have a focal point that we could talk about discussions that's on everyone's mind. And so today, to start this off, we gave you our backgrounds. Also, to kind of give you, I have gotten first place twice, second place at another event, Chicago, and I top aided the Caster Cup. But besides all that, guys, I want to get into what is on our mind. What is next? The one thing that me and Herman can talk about all day long is that we had regionals every month for Yu-Gi-Oh!
Sometimes like every other week. In the summer, it was 3 months straight. Like you could go out and leave and play if you really were traveling, which I did with a group of friends for a while. Like I don't think I was home for like 2 straight days for a couple of years in the summer times. It was just a lot, and that's kind of where we want. Hopefully, that MetaZoo will get to. It just how they're going to do it, and we're going to talk about that and our opinions on that one.
Yeah, and we want to hear from other people as well of how this game can get better. And today we're going to talk about our experience when playing other TCGs and the good from that, and what I feel like MetaZoo could take and help to grow this even further for the competitive players and the collectors. I personally, and this is my opinion, I wrote down towers. I've heard about towers. I've heard about Michael buying a location and making a tower where, as you kind of climb up in the ranks, you're at the top of the tower. And I look forward to this. Is this a myth? Is this factual? Like, we will know soon enough, right? But no one has talked about this. And as players, we strive for this information. We strive for these events. And I feel like what MetaZoo could do a better job as for the player base is to be able to have something that's six months out so that we can be prepared and be able to pay for these events. Because as we all know, with inflation, everything going up, I don't want to get off that topic. It's going to be tougher and tougher for everyone to travel to these events. So, but if we had a listed schedule of what these regionals are, what these qualifiers are, because I think a lot of people jumped in for the Cash Cup for the money. But I think if we set a foundation of monthly regionals that we all can attend, and they can be on the East, the West, Central, they can be everywhere, that we all can go and just kind of just show, where we stand as players. I'm telling you, I think when it comes to product, when it comes to release, I think it's going to explode. We as players, especially, we have sold cards as well. When it comes to the speculation of a card value, it goes up to the meta. But if we don't have a meta until every 3 months, it's really hard to participate and understand what the perceived value will be of those cards. And I think that's something that, we can come together, and hopefully MetaZoo listens to us and build a better game for the future. And I think they're doing a great job. Herman, do you want to elaborate on that?
Yeah, I had time to think about that one. The towers was interesting, but I think that was too a local thing. Like it would be kind of like a MetaZoo Mecca. You just get wherever it is, it's gonna just kind of block in that area. And so I think that MetaZoo did a great job initially pushing it out, and the partnership with Collecticon was smart. That's an already pre-existing route, I guess, or stops that they could just tack their name on, and if people are showing out in droves, but not that many people are jumping into playing, which is it was pretty overly loaded at capture society though for players, because even with people that were just jumping in, most of the players that I saw there were in lines getting their product, and they were playing till midday, and even with the records that weren't going to do them any justice. But what I'd like to see going forward is MetaZoo's either partnering with LGSs, experienced LGSs, this is important, that have hosted either like Yu-Gi-Oh event, Dragon Ball Super events, anything like Digimon, Pokemon, that already have, that they can kind of plug in their list of MZOs and combine with people who have experience with the judges, and I think it'll go very smoothly. Like the first event that I played in was hosted by Rocky Mountain Collectibles, and a long time TCG tournament organizer, his name was Frank, just blew it out the water. It was like I said, it was like coming home and playing a Yu-Gi-Oh event. In and out, you know exactly what you're gonna expect from Frank. Frank is quick, Johnny on the spot when it comes to rulings, anything that has to do with issues that arise from player side, judging, he'll take care of all of that, and it'll be a very like streamlined experience. So, but what I want to see is kind of like they were talking about regionals. I'd like to see concurrent regionals. Like if there's a weekend that one pops up in the East Coast, California, Texas, something like that. I do think that the East Coast has been calling out for a lot, because I haven't seen a Collecticon that goes that far east.
Yeah.
Except Charlotte was the closest basically for that. They're asking for more. I know that, and it has a pretty solid scene down there. One of our teammates, Andy, he's from New York, and he's still flying over. First time we met him, he flew down to Texas.
Yep.
And took down the Capture Society event. So that's what I'd like to see them going forward. I do think they did a great job, and it was smart going with Collecticon. The only problem that I have now is, like Logan said, is the announcement of the event, like planning ahead. But you have to keep in mind with places like Collecticon or these events, they don't get a lot of information from the event itself. It has nothing to do with Collecticon. It has to do where they're at in location wise. So Texas was very event friendly. I've lived in DFW for years. I'm born and raised, so I knew that that place, they will stay open as long as you want them to. And some places do not do that. They are open shut 6 o'clock. Like we were there to the event till like 11, 12 at night.
I mean, I got home, I believe it was like 2 o'clock in the morning, and I was leaving there going straight to going home. But to add on to that, I look forward to that. I look forward to having events, every month that are outside of Collecticon. It'd be great if it was just, focused on MetaZoo. I think MetaZoo is big enough now that they can host their own events and people would come in masses, and money, yes, money involved, it will bring more people to there, but even giving out cases during each set, because I know, what is it, 3 to 4 months that the set will drop. But on top of that, how can we help? Because I hear a lot of people in the community that don't really speak up, but how can we help build more MZOs? What can we give those MZOs to make them want to become an MZO, right? I hear a lot of things of like, what are the supports for the MZOs and stuff like that. But, to build the game, we're going to have some kind of playing ground for the MZOs to keep developing and build. That's just like what we saw in Yu-Gi-Oh. I actually became a judge. There was a lot of prize support for the MZOs, or judges, excuse me, to participate in tournaments. And you're hosting tournaments. Those were regionals. Our regionals in Texas were like 1,500 players. And so, like, how can we get to that level? And I think it helps to have something to be prepared for every month. Having a tower instead of calling it a regionals that people, the top 16 or top 32 can qualify for. I think that would help the game so much to keep growing. I think they're doing a great job on the products. I love the products. I love the revival boards that are coming out, and it's awesome what they're doing. But I think if they can just hone in on these certain things and maybe take some things that we're going to have on from other people coming on here, I think it could just make it help for the better gameplay for the players as well.
I agree that MZOs could use more of a space to grow. I think the best way to do that, though, is because of how new the game is you have to do some online events with TTS. I think that helped a lot of like things that speed up, like especially when I played, and that's how I met Fajir, who's now running a lot of who's going to be running events.
Phenomenal, by the way.
Yes, absolutely.
Does such a great
Great
job.
guy. Yeah, he
Can we
did.
just
And
say,
that
first of all, can we just say, I think there was 12 judges, or maybe how many judges at Caster Cup? I think 12.
um, it it didn't seem like there were a lot of judges, but the way that they used the walkie-talkies was the best thing I've seen judging wise.
Yeah.
That was brilliant. I've never had an easier time talking to a judge or getting judge notifications, and even any appeals. It was great. You got everybody came in quickly when they needed to, and they all had access to the top tables of judging. Basically, like I think it was fantastic. That way, they even with the minimal amount of judges, and I think that's probably a good thing that they didn't let everybody judge. It seemed like they let the more knowledgeable judges come in.
First and foremost, I know it was a long day 2, very tiring. Everyone was worn out, even the judges. But just shout out to Kevin and Logan, being everywhere and just doing a great job at MZO and just hosting the event for what they had and the people. And next year I know it will be bigger and better. But Herman, I want to move on. I know we were talking about regionals and stuff. To kind of go further, what do you see the meta looking like? With UFO coming out here at the end of July, what do you feel like the meta is going to be?
Well, I've heard a few things from different players that supposedly frog or water not going to nearly be as relevant as it was even in this last event. There's still people who had water decks that did top Caster Cup. UFO should like bounce Cosmic up even higher. Hoping for more, I guess, board wipes. I have heard of a board wipe that basically black hole destroys everything. We're gonna see a resurgence, I think, of fearsome critters possibly. I don't know how you're gonna improve that deck on the basis level. They're gonna probably give it something a little different. But I also know that we've all seen what appears to be a different type of Prism Aura for their first announcement, their first teaser. So I think we're gonna experience even more meldings like Easton did. I don't even consider his deck a mono deck. That was definitely a lightning dark deck in my eyes. So I think we're gonna see more of that. We're gonna see more people trying to manipulate what their opponents play by playing dampen. We're gonna see people get splash in Hateful Demise, just so that way because there's gonna be more cards that have traits, multiple traits.
Yes.
I think I really think that there needs to be more, either less haste, fleet. I think there needs to be less of that, or every aura type needs to have a haste card, a haste beastie that'll stay around. I think that's definitely interesting. It gives that's where Lightning has such a strong advantage. Is all these beasties were just coming in awakened, and that's really interesting when you think about not being able to interact with your opponent too much. And Lightning has the interactions with your opponents as well, with the Lightning Bolt and Paralyzes. So I think it's going to be wider. I know there's going to be decks that we haven't seen yet that are going to come out stronger. I really want to see a rock deck that seems to be a couple of cards just away from rock boltering someone first turn and just losing out because you can't play your auras anymore. I think that could be strong, and I definitely think the Torrential Rivers deck, people are going to get, if there's another Prism Aura that you can play with Prism Aura, and that's going to be another deck that's really interesting that you can play Growth in. So I'm interested to see how it's going to expand. I think Growth is going to explode in popularity if we can play basically 4 Prism Auras.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think if looking just speculation, I would like to see some more power up red type of versions of cards, to combat maybe, LP. What if some of these cards like the rock decks that have a plus on LP as well, right? And so just stuff like that where it just kind of gives it a good mix. I would like to be able to have the where you have Walking Sam and cards that are like Change of Heart from other card games like we played, where you can take control of other beasties and just really, turn the game upside down and take board state over again. I'm looking for stuff like that. And I feel like with UFO and mind wipes and stuff like that, I think there might be a possibility in there. I look forward to seeing stuff like that. I look forward to seeing cards that stop other like spell cards. That like, what if there's a card out there that's not a dampen that stops a dampen? Like that to me would be broken. I know we had void spell, but what if there's a card that just stops any spell card besides dampen? You know what I mean?
I'd be interested to see a card that stopped any page.
That would be crazy. Like a solemn judgment where like you pay life points.
Or you can stop the page, but you can't declare an attack the next turn or something like that on your turn. Something where you can't get like a massive amount of advantage.
No, or like maybe you could stop a summoning.
Possibly. Oh, you know what? Page that something that would negate the page and also send it to the afterlife.
Yes, and then you maybe lose next turn. You can't attack or you can't play.
You don't bookmark card. Something doesn't awaken. Something like that.
I also go ahead.
MetaZoo is all about balance. So I'm wondering how they would balance such a card as that, because I know Solemn Judgment, even though
I feel like it would be a spirit card.
Possibly. Well, I wanted to touch on your talking about change of heart though. With another Prism Aura type, you could see more people playing Possession, which is the change of heart.
Yep.
But there have to be beasties that give you an advantage when you take them.
Yes.
And that's only with certain matchups, in my opinion, that would actually be helpful. That's why we never really played it, in my opinion. Or I've tried to play it, but it didn't help. Even playing against the Lightning matchup, I get a quest and then I can't do anything with that quest because you still have another one, or you're gonna get this card back. Like Walking Sam was way more helpful.
Yes. But definitely, I would like to see some support when it comes to the spirits, which I know UFO is going to get a ton of support. But what's crazy, if you look at all the sets, right? Dark, Nightfall was all support for Dark mostly, right? In Water, it was crazy. But it's like, if you look at Wilderness really helped Lightning out, get around the water and anti-potion, right? So it's like, are we missing the boat here? Like maybe with UFO, maybe there's some fire cards out there that could really help the meta on the fire decks that we're not seeing.
I think they're going to be every card, like like you said, in Wilderness, every aura type got something. It was more of how beneficial it was. So it balanced out Water and Lightning to an extent, but it gave Lightning something else that it needed. It gave it two early game beasties basically that it needed. Like Dingbell was not something you could rely on, in my opinion, and it makes Water players have to go away from the traditional draw control and deal more damage with Torrential Rivers, which I thought was really interesting. Because even Torrential River, the original version of that deck wasn't very damaging until we went back and found the Gassy combos with it. Which, by the way, those guys, Steven Silverman and his team, were all ex-Yu-Gi-Oh players and Magic players, so that was interesting talking to them. Especially when I was watching our top 8 play out. It's like, we never get to change our decks in Yu-Gi-Oh, which is a whole nother can of worms.
Oh, absolutely. It definitely, you're trying to change cards and stuff, and you have 20 minutes, and you have to write the cards down too. It's you're better off probably just keeping your deck, but also then
I wanted to try it. I was so sad I missed out on that last game. Literally, it came down to the last game for me on day one. I would have changed up a couple of decks, especially if I got to get even close in striking distance of Easton and Dylan. I'd have probably fearsome crittered them, and they wouldn't be prepared for it.
Makes me wonder if next year maybe MetaZoo does top 64.
I hope they don't. I didn't want to see a Swiss variation in top 32. I think it still should have been a single elimination, in my opinion.
Well, then I bring up the controversy of this. So when I played Chang and we had a draw. I think another thing, something I want to bring up is the draws, and if you both deck out, it's a draw. I think that rule, like, it should change because when someone has full board advantage, they can just stall a way out to deck out. And I'm seeing more and more people decking out and getting more draws. And so I feel like what happens when you're prolonging all of this, and I think it's something that should be looked at. Does it need to be changed? I don't think right now, but I think down the road it's going to cause some conflict, especially when you have a draw in top 16, top 8. You know what I mean?
I think the draws need to be adjusted a little bit. I didn't like the ruling that we had, or that it's accepted ruling right now, that if the other player is already decked out and you bookmark your card, the game automatically ends in the draw because you draw on your last card. I feel like that turn should be played out.
Yes.
And I think that makes sense. Like, you should be able to play your turn because you didn't do anything. Like, that's a game state. You haven't tried to dig into your deck. Like, there's not a zero. The game changed because you drew your card. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And that's my opinion on that one. I don't think that you should be able to draw in top cuts at all. I think you're gonna have to play it out, or even if it's just a sudden death situation, 250 LP again. I'm not sure how they're gonna change that. I just don't like that with how decks are currently built, people are going to go through their decks more often, and I think that those type of decks are only going to get stronger because the game's just going to get faster with draw power.
Maybe that's what they're thinking. Maybe they're thinking that damage will be done and games will be done faster because they're going to start speeding up the meta now.
Well, that's what we're going to have to look at in UFOs. Maybe there's going to be more title pool cards.
Yeah.
Maybe there's going to be more replaceable cards like Torrential River.
Or due to the fact of the new card and the new aura that's a multi-aura, that now we all can play title pool.
Maybe there'll be a Pot of Avarice type of card where you get to shuffle cards from your Limbo and Cemetery back.
Tell people what Pot of Avarice is, first and foremost.
Okay, so for those non-Yu-Gi-Oh players, Pot of Avarice is a card that you would select 5 cards from your cemetery and shuffle them back in and then bookmark 2 cards. So you were able to spam your deck, run out of your combo pieces, put them back in and extend again. And you could play 3 of those when that card came out. And I think it's back to 3 now. That just shows how Yu-Gi-Oh has evolved, because that card was banned for a very, very long time.
Absolutely. Well, guys, look, this is the first segment of the Meta Talk. We will have more topics. We will have special guests coming on from here on out.
And so hopefully everyone, video for me.
Yeah, for everybody, thank you for watching. I look forward. Please leave your comments below. Please follow. Please let us know what you want to hear. Please let us know what more you want from this game. We all love this game, so let's all work together to keep building this. Everyone stay tuned. Y'all take care. Herman?
Yep, it's good to see you guys. Thanks a lot for joining us. Feel free to find us on Instagram or comment on this video for any questions that you do want answered, like Logan said. And if y'all want to come on, I want new players as well, not just MZOs or experienced players. I want to talk to a lot of different eyes. If you're just coming in, you want to talk about things, you have questions, I think that'd be a lot of fun to help someone new come through the game as well.
Absolutely. Different perspectives of the game.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
That's what it's all about.
Y'all take care.
Bye.